Gary Vaynerchuk believes that education needs to be reinvented, that school is made for workers and teaches people to play within the rules, and that school is failing entrepreneurs every single day. In this video, I'm going to look at Gary's take on education and how you can be a better entrepreneur. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Use your time better.
Even though you're studying a field that is related to what you want your career path to be, you're still in classes, and completing those classes takes a lot of effort and time.
Right, they're putting classes that have nothing to do with the future, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That.
My personal point of view on that is to only allocate the amount of time and passion that allows you to get to the next place you need to. What I'm saying is whatever the lowest grade you can get in that class that allows you to continue and advance is what you should aim for. A lot of people's DNA only makes them strive towards perfection, which eats up an allocation of time that I think you should be deploying on other things. So if you're telling me right now you're self-aware enough to know this accounting class or whatever you go to is not gonna mean anything to me, you know, there's only a couple variables. One, there's the school's rules of what you need to get to pass and graduate, right? Then the only other variables are your own kind of, you know, self-worth of how you deliver in a class environment. And the only other variable is your parents or anybody else you respect's ambition of your grade point average. Those last two don't mean anything. The first one does, it's the rules. You can't get an F in this or you can't move on. But if you can get a C, I just don't know. I'm saying least amount of resistance against your own self-awareness and passions that allows you to then get, you know, all of a sudden, as you can imagine, when you're getting an hour back a day from studying on some class that's, but you know yourself that you can get a C instead of an A, now you have an hour to make Instagram content that may actually lead to the thing that you want to do for a living.
Rule number 2, consume relevant content.
There's not a school on earth, not a university or college that exists that is even remotely equipped to educate you properly on communications and marketing in the world we live in today. So, I have no interest, Kara, to get your mom and dad mad at me, but I would tell you that here would be my 4-year strategy. I would go to university, especially, is she going here in Canada?
She's talking about NYU, she's talking about San Fran.
Is she collecting debt or are you guys paying for it?
I think she's just enamored by big brands.
But is she gonna pay for college?
Yeah, well, we're paying for it.
So she's not collecting debt?
No, well, yeah, I apologize. We're paying for it, and yes, she's gonna have to collect debt along the way.
All right, Kiara, you're gonna have to have a weird conversation with your mom and dad because the first thing I'm passionate about is for you to not have any debt. Because if you're gonna go to a business that is gonna sell you a product that you are then gonna pay compounded interest in that you can't even declare bankruptcy to get out of, that's called extortion. But Kiara, if that number's not that high and you can get some other things that drives down that cost, the second move would be to take your last 4-year vacation of your life, hook up a whole bunch, or not, you know, depending on your own radar, Kiara, that might be 1 dude 7, that's on you, don't let them judge.
She's a nice, good Christian girl.
I'm sure she is. And if you want to learn about marketing and communications, spend a lot of time online and consume relevant 2017 content from people that are actually doing it, not professors that are so not practical and so romantic of how it used to be that I've traveled the best universities in the world and have literally thrown up all over myself while I've been prepped to talk, listening to the horse that those professors are shoving down these kids' throats.
Also, if you want to learn how to have more confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series. It's free. The link to join is in the description below.
I really think mindset is everything, and so you've got to really decide are you going to be positive about things or negative about things. We are strong as shit. We're really strong. We're just being sold that we're not because there's a lot of money. The reason people aren't patient is they value other people's opinions too much.
Rule number 3, don't go safe.
I'm scared that you don't realize that you're entering the greatest 5-year window of your life. if you are 22 years old and graduating from college, if you're 22 years old and not graduating from college, if you are 22 years old, you are entering, first of all, some of the greatest years of your life, A, but B, this is the moment. Watch this video twice. If mama's watching this, send this to your daughter Sally right now, because you have to understand, this next 5-year window is when you don't go practical and safe. This is not the time to get the job mom wanted you to. This is not the time to try to maximize as much money so you can buy a fat whip. This is the time to realize that you have a 5-year window, and it's 3 for some, it's 8 for others, but this is a 5-year window for you to attack the life that you want to win, not because it's the secret or because the world's so zen, because it's hard out there. As a matter of fact, I'm probably more scared about your naivete to how hard class is easy, right? What you've been doing for the last 16 years is easy. It's a game, it's structured, it's easy. The world, this thing is hard. However, that contradicts what I'm gonna tell you right now, which is this is the best and easiest 5 years of your life, because this is when you need to attack what you love and what you want to do. Here's why. You don't have all the baggage. You may have college loans, respect, it's hard. You may have the expectations of your parents, mentally hard, fake hard. You may have a lot of other things, but this is exactly when you can live with 4 roommates in a basement and eat fast food. Do you understand? This is not when the baby's there. Some of you have babies. This is not when you've been married and you promised. This is not when the world has sucked out all your dreams and hopes yet. You still got this window. And yet, so many of you are so hungry for short-term gains, like maximizing the job that paid you $3,000 more, but it's not as fun, but you want that $3,000. For what? For what? For a new iPhone? For what? You get to live life one time. And this is the time right now to understand what's actually happening and actually map your behavior to something that will impact you for the next 80 years. So promise me, all you youngsters that are watching this right now, in the comments, because I'll jump in and talk to you, promise me that you understand that the land grab of happiness starts right now. That you don't have to worry about getting that job. What you should do is go and travel and learn. Go and start that business that you've always wanted. Hook up with those 3 teammates and start that band you've always wanted. This is the time to be massively risk oriented. I know that this is when you're supposed to grow up and go see the world, but guess what? The world isn't what mommy and daddy told you. The world is exactly going to be what it's going to be, with or without the way you thought it was gonna be. A ton of is gonna change. The world changes every day. Right now, what you need to recognize is you can afford to.
Rule number 4, education is broken.
Here's the biggest trend I see. That the way we educate our children right now is so broken, it makes me actually want to slip off of this and hit my head. And my sister, I believe that most teachers that I know that are paying attention do. Because actually, here's the problem. We are asking by formation, I don't blame you, you gotta follow I get how it works, it's not capitalism in the school systems. We are teaching our children to memorize shit and then regurgitate it in a world where everything who's the 9th president in the United States history? This old There it is. Like, it is ludicrous what we're doing right now. We need to completely reverse it, which is they can memorize at home. Or don't memorize it at all, because it's never been less valuable to be information smart than it is now, because anything you want to know is right here. Remember some of the older ones? Remember when it was actually interesting to be information smart? That has sailed. I don't care if you know something, I can tell you the same thing in 4 minutes, 4 seconds, 8 seconds, it's right here. So, I'm struggling with it in a big way, right? Like, it's really broken. It's not the reality of the world we live in. It's, the whole game. I think that all schools go to the business format, and like, why teachers are underpaid? Because, the structure. Go create a school where it's complete capitalism and every school is capitalistic, and then the best teachers are gonna get paid plenty. Sure. It's so broken, it's ridiculous. Most kids are learning more on their own than they are in the classroom because they have more information at their fingertip everywhere else. Back to your question, look, I don't know the rules. Every principal, every superintendent runs it differently. Like, I love the notion of you texting with every mom in the class. Communication's good, kids can't hide through the structure. I hid for 12 years through the structure. I used to rip my report card up the second it got to my mailbox and flush it down the toilet to buy 3 to 6 more days of freedom before my mom got wind and punished me for 3 weeks. That was the game. In today's world, you can email me that. You can send it, like there's a lot of things to do, but the truth is, what I would implore, and what I implore my sister who's a teacher to do, and some of my other friends, my most practical advice to a 6th grade teacher is to try to build the self-esteem of the students in your class. That is the thing I spend my entire life thinking about, which is the only tool against all the pressures that our kids face is self-esteem. That is the weapon. And so I only had one teacher ever that I saw, now rewinding my brain and realizing what she was doing, that went person by person in her class and accelerated and celebrated their unique individual strengths, whether it's sports, school, personality, humor, kindness, prettiness, whatever it was, she built self-esteem, and that's why I remember her.
And rule number 5, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is school is for workers.
Education's the way out for immigrants.
Sure is.
My mom recognized that I was a merchant, an entrepreneur, a promoter.
So did school fail you or you failed school?
School failed me. School's failing entrepreneurs every single day.
Because?
Because it's not built for entrepreneurship. It's built for workers. If you're being taught to play within the lines, and there's nothing being taught that maps to the entrepreneurial market. As a matter of fact, my biggest cynicism when I sit across an entrepreneur today is if they are too successful at school. I probably look at Ivy League grads starting startups right now with more of a negative light than I do somebody who wasn't as good. Because what I've learned over the last 5 to 7 years, and by the way, in the last 2 to 3 years, I've taken a step back on this because there's too many entrepreneurial friends who've gone to great schools that have been successful. So this is not a blanket statement, but I will tell you that in a world of private schools, in a world of mommy and daddy having a lot of connections, that when you go from 12, 15, 18 years of that ecosystem and you go into a market and you create an app, the market doesn't give a crap who your dad is. The market responds to your product, and a lot of these kids have not been able to take the punch in the mouth that comes along with entrepreneurship.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Gary saying that you can't teach entrepreneurship that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching the video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1, how are you going to build your own education? Number 2, how are you going to use your time better? And number 3, what relevant content are you going to consume on a daily basis?
What's the thing you did the most, in your life, what's the thing you did the most that you hated?
Oh my God, I went to school.
Yeah!
Forever.
Yes!
The world
From
told
6
me.
to 18, I hated life. College is the racket. It is the singular racket, college loans, that you can't even declare bankruptcy to get out of. That gives you a piece of paper that does not map to anything that's going on in the real world. 0. Other than the jobs, lawyers, doctors. I know the cliche shit, but I'm talking business, and you're not watching this for lawyers. So business just does not map. Is if you are watching this and you are collecting debt to go to college to be a business person, quit right now. Send this email to mom. Sorry, mom. Let's start with this. I fully 100,000% with no hedge do not believe that you can teach entrepreneurship, right? So that's awkward.
If there were a defined path to success, especially in any sort of creative endeavor, everyone would just follow that defined path. There is no defined path. And college can be a great way to help you find one of those paths, but it is certainly not the only way, and it's certainly not a guarantee that you'll find that trajectory.
Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want to learn to find true happiness like Gary, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.